In a wide green forest, the sun came up like a golden coin, rolling over the tops of tall trees. Birds sang. Leaves shone with soft light. The air smelled of wet earth and wild flowers. In this forest lived Raja, a strong lion with a heavy mane and a calm walk. He was the largest animal anyone had ever seen. When Raja drank at the lake, the water trembled. When he yawned, parrots fell quiet. He was not cruel, but he was proud. He believed strength was the measure of worth, and he had plenty of it. Under the roots of an old fig tree, a small gray rat named Rinku made his home. Rinku had bright eyes and quick paws. He liked to collect shiny seeds, soft bits of cotton, and sweet crumbs left by travelers. His world was the size of his courage, and he wished his courage were bigger. He often told himself, "One day I will be brave." Yet when the wind hissed or an owl cried at night, his whiskers shook and he hid in his hole. One warm afternoon, the forest was still. Even the bees were slow, lazy from the heat. Raja found a patch of cool shade and lay down to rest. His breath slowed. His tail flicked now and then at a fly. Soon he was fast asleep. Rinku, who had been following the smell of fallen grain, scurried nearby. He saw a golden hill in the grass. He moved closer, and the hill turned out to be Raja's great back. Rinku froze. He had never been so near to the lion. He studied the thick mane, the huge paws, the calm rise and fall of the lion's sides. His fear mixed with wonder. "Imagine being that strong," Rinku whispered to himself. "Imagine not being afraid of anything." He took a careful step, then another. The lion did not wake. Rinku's fear, the kind that lives in the belly, began to shrink. His curiosity, the kind that lives in the heart, began to grow. Very gently, he climbed up the tail, then onto the lion's back. The fur was soft but heavy like warm grass. Rinku reached the lion's shoulder and giggled. "So, this is what a mountain feels like," he said. He danced, making tiny prints in the lion's fur. Raja's ear twitched. He snorted in his sleep. The snort sounded like thunder. "Oops," Rinku said and hopped down. But one of his little paws slid. He tumbled and landed right on Raja's nose. The lion's eyes flew open. In a single smooth motion, he lifted his head and caught Rinku in his paw. Rinku's heart thumped like a drum. The world went quiet except for the sound of his own breath. "What creature runs across my face?" Raja asked, his voice deep and slow. "A rat, your majesty," Rinku squeaked. "My name is Rinku." "A rat," Raja said, studying him. "Why should a rat play on a lion? Shall I eat you for waking me?" Rinku swallowed. Great Lion, he said, trying to steady his voice, I meant no harm. I was foolish, yes, but I am also curious. Please let me go. If you spare me today, I will help you one day. Raja laughed, a rich sound that made the leaves quiver. You? Help me. He shook his head. Little one, what help could the tooth of a rat give a mouth with fangs like mine? Rinku lifted his chin. I may be small, but I can be useful, he said softly. Please give me a chance. Perhaps it was the heat. Perhaps it was the brave look in Rinku's eyes. Perhaps it was simply that Raja was not cruel. He loosened his paw and set Rinku on the ground. Run along, he said. And keep your steps off my nose. Rinku bowed so fast he nearly toppled over. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not forget. He ran back to his fig tree, where his heart took a long time to stop racing. The other rats asked what had happened. Rinku told them the truth. Some laughed. A lion will never need a rat, they said. But Rinku did not argue. He cleaned his whiskers and sat quietly, feeling a new warmth inside. He had faced the king of the forest and lived. Days passed. The sky turned from blue to silver to gold and back again. Raja roamed. He hunted when he needed to, but never for sport. Sometimes he slept in the shade of the fig tree without knowing that Rinku watched from his doorway, ready to repay kindness with kindness, though he did not know how. One morning before sunrise, men came into the forest. They wore brown clothes that blended with the trees. They carried ropes and nets. They said little, yet their steps were loud to the ears of animals. They set traps near the narrow path to the lake, then hid behind thick bushes. When the sun rose, Raja walked toward the water to drink. He did not see the net spread on dry leaves. It was thin but strong, the color of the ground. He stepped on it, and in a blink the net leaped up like a living thing, wrapping him in rough rope. Raja roared. Birds burst from the trees. Monkeys scrambled high. Deer bolted like arrows. The forest, which had been calm, trembled. Raja fought. His body was a storm. He bit at the ropes, but they were pulled tight. He clawed at them, but they held. The more he struggled, the tighter the net squeezed. Dust rose. His roar changed, lower now, angry and tired. He looked around, and for the first time in a long time, he felt fear. He had always been strong enough. He had never imagined a prison he could not break. From under his fig tree, Rinku heard the roar. He knew that voice. He knew the pain in it. His whiskers went cold. Stay here, said an older rat. Nets and men mean danger. Rinku's paws trembled, but he shook his head. He spared me, he said. Now I will help him. He slipped out and raced across roots and under leaves. He darted along logs and through ferns. A kite circled above, and Rinku hid for a heartbeat, then ran again. A snake slid from a rock, and Rinku leaped over its tail. He could hear the men's whispers now. He could smell the rough rope and the fear of the lion and the sharp sweat of the hunters. Raja saw a small gray blur shoot from a clump of grass. Rinku stood at the edge of the net, chest heaving. The lion's eyes widened. You, Raja said, surprised. Me, Rinku panted. Stay still if you can. Rinku ran to the thickest knot. He set his tiny teeth to the fibers and began to gnaw. The rope tasted like dust and smoke. It was bitter and coarse. His jaw ached after a few bites, but he kept going. He gnawed and gnawed, ripping strand by strand. Tiny bits of rope stuck to his whiskers. His tongue was dry. Sweat dampened his fur. Still he worked. The men heard nothing over their own plans. They were waiting for the lion to tire completely before they would come to claim him. They spoke of teeth and trophies, of money and pride. They did not expect the help that came to the lion that day. Raja breathed slowly to keep the net from tightening more. He watched the small rat chew with fierce patience. You are brave, he said softly. No, Rinku replied around a mouthful of rope. I am thankful. He found the center of the knot and gnawed deeper. The strands began to fray. He moved to another knot, then another. His mouth was sore. His teeth throbbed. His legs shook. He thought of the day he had promised help and of the laughter of the other rats. He thought of the lion's warm eyes and of the mercy he was shown. He bit harder. A last one knot snapped. The net sagged a little. Raja pulled gently, testing the new space, and Rinku rushed to the next knot. Bite. Tear. Bite. Tear. A second knot gave way. The net loosened more. Dust drifted in the beam of sunlight. Ants marched over the fallen rope. Rinku's breath came in fast huffs, but he did not stop. Almost, he said through numb lips. Just one more. He climbed the net like a ladder, reached the knot near the lion's shoulder, and attacked it with all he had left. The rope fibers cut his gums, but the knot weakened, and then, snap. The net slumped like a tired thing. Raja pushed with his shoulder, then with his great head. He stepped free, one paw then another. When he stood clear of the ropes, the ground felt new under his feet. Raja looked at Rinku, who had fallen back, panting hard. For a moment the lion could not speak. He bent low, his head almost touching the earth. "You saved me," he said, his voice thick with feeling. Rinku wiped his mouth with a paw and tried to smile. "I only did what I promised." Raja's eyes were gentle. "You did more than that. You taught me something I should have known. Strength is not only in muscles and roar. It is also in courage, patience, and loyalty." The bushes rustled. The men were coming, worried by the sudden silence. Raja lifted his head. "Climb onto my mane," he told Rinku. "Hold tight." Rinku scrambled up. Raja moved like wind and shadow, swift and silent among trees, away from the path, away from the traps. He carried the little rat to the fig tree and knelt. "This is your home?" Raja asked. "Yes," Rinku said, still catching his breath. Raja nodded. He looked at the rats peeking out from the shadows. "You have a brave neighbor," he said to them. "All who live under this tree are under my protection." The rats blinked, surprised and proud. Rinku felt his chest lift. His world, once the size of his fear, had grown to the size of his promise. After that day, Raja changed in quiet ways. He still walked like a king, but his eyes were softer. When he hunted, he did not chase the weak or the young. He listened more. He noticed things he had not seen before: the careful work of ants, the patient weaving of spiders, the songs of frogs after rain. The forest changed too. The small were not so afraid of the great. The birds warned Raja when men came near. The monkeys dropped fruit where the deer could find it, so the herd was strong and fast. The bees buzzed news of broken branches and new flowers. Many small watches made one large guard. Sometimes in the late afternoon, Raja would lie in the shade of the fig tree, and Rinku would sit on his paw and tell him about tunnels and seeds and the best places to find grain. They laughed together. They shared stories. They learned each other's worlds. One evening, as the sky turned pink and the first star woke up, Rinku asked, "Great Lion, were you very scared in the net?" Raja gazed at the star. "Yes," he said. "I was scared because I knew my strength had met its match. But I was also hopeful because I remembered a promise. Hope is a small thing, but it shines like a star. And sometimes the smallest light is enough." Rinku nodded. "Sometimes the smallest teeth are enough too," he said, and they both smiled. New of what had happened passed through the forest like wind. Some animals were surprised. some were inspired. The fox taught her cubs not to tease the shy. The elephant let the birds rest on his back when the day was hot. The hawk flew a little higher when the rabbits came out to feed, because his hunger could wait, but their fear had waited long already. The forest did not become perfect. There were still storms and hunger and long nights. But there was also more kindness, and that made the hard days softer. As for the men, they returned to their traps and found the net torn and empty. They argued. They blamed luck and each other. They did not understand the real reason for their failure, a small gray rat with a big promise and a bigger heart. They left the forest, for it is hard to stay where your plans are seen and spoiled by eyes you never think to notice. Years later, when Rinku's whiskers were white, young rats asked him, "Is it true you freed a lion?" Rinku would smile and tap his front teeth, still sharp, still ready. "It is true," he would say. "But remember, it was the lion who freed me first, freeing me from fear with his mercy." One kindness calls another, like a bell calling across a valley. When you hear it, answer. And when the wind moved through the leaves of the fig tree, it sounded a little like a bell, and a little like a promise kept. Moral: no act of kindness is ever wasted, and even the small can help the great.